The rain had already erased the streetlights into blurry halos when she asked the question that changed both their lives forever. "Can you book me a taxi?" she said quietly, her voice shaking, not from the cold, but from the kind of loneliness that sinks deep into the bones. That he looked at her, then at the back seat mirror where his daughter's small jacket was still hanging, and replied without fully understanding why the words came out of his mouth, "There's still room at my place." Neither of them knew that sentence would rewrite everything they believed about family, trust, and second chances. That he should have driven away. Any sensible man would have got a tired single dad. A stranger in the rain. One sentence standing between safety and regret, but something in her eyes looked like the same broken hope he saw every morning in the mirror. That he hadn't planned on being out that late. After a double shift at the warehouse and rushing home to help his 8-year-old daughter with homework, his body felt like it was made of stone. The taxi app on his phone had glitched again, so he'd driven out himself to grab medicine for her cough. That's when he saw her standing near the bus stop, soaked, hugging her coat like it was the only thing keeping her together. She didn't wave him down. She didn't look desperate. She looked defeated. When she asked him to book her a taxi, he could hear the practiced politeness, the kind people use when they've learned not to ask for too much. He told her the truth: the app wasn't working, and taxis had stopped running in this part of the city after midnight. The rain kept falling between them, heavy and loud, like it was trying to drown the moment before it could grow roots. That's when he said it, "There's still room at my place." The silence afterward felt dangerous. He half expected her to laugh, to accuse him of something, to step back. Instead, she stared at the ground, fighting tears that had nothing to do with fear. She asked one question, soft, fragile, almost childlike: "Is there a child there?" He nodded. "My daughter." That answer changed everything. The drive was quiet. Too quiet. His daughter's name was scribbled on a crayon drawing taped to the dashboard, and she noticed it. She asked about the picture. He talked too much after that, nervous, explaining things she hadn't asked. She listened, nodding, holding her hands together like they might fall apart if she let go. At his small apartment, he gave her the couch, extra blankets, and space. No expectations. No pressure. Just safety. That night, after his daughter fell asleep again, he sat on the kitchen floor, wondering why letting a stranger into his life felt less risky than the loneliness he'd been living with for years. And in the other room, she cried silently into a pillow, because for the first time in a long time, someone had helped her without asking for anything in return. The real danger didn't come that night. It came weeks later, when caring turned into attachment, and attachment began asking questions. Neither of them were ready to answer. She didn't leave the next morning, not because she planned to stay, but because life kept finding reasons to keep her there. A missed bus. A cancelled interview. Then a fever that left her shaking in the spare blanket while his daughter sat beside her, offering juice and telling her about school like they'd known each other forever. Days turned into routines. Shared dinners. Quiet laughter. Painful conversations whispered after bedtime. He learned she had escaped an abusive home. She learned his wife hadn't died. She'd walked away when responsibility became too heavy. They shared shame without judgment, and for the first time, neither of them felt like a burden. But healing is never clean. She pulled away when things felt too warm. He hesitated whenever hope crept in. The world outside didn't approve. Neighbors whispered, family questioned, and old wounds reopened. One night, after an argument neither of them knew how to finish, she packed her bag again. This time, she booked her own taxi. He watched from the doorway as the car disappeared, convinced he'd crossed a line he couldn't uncross. Weeks passed, then one evening, his daughter asked a simple question while coloring at the table: "Is she gone because I wasn't good enough?" That question broke him. He found her. Not with promises, but with honesty. With fear. With love he wasn't sure he deserved but was willing to fight for anyway. She didn't cry this time. She said, "I didn't need a taxi that night. I needed a home." Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness don't just help someone survive a night, they give them a future. And sometimes, the bravest thing a broken person can do, is make room.